Good afternoon. Today, I would like to welcome the audience to part one of this two-part webinar on digital supply networks. SAP is pleased presenting this webinar with our valued and esteemed partner, Deloitte Consulting. The impetus to produce this webinar was a recent publication of a book, Digital Supply Networks. Today, we are pleased to be joined by one of the authors of the book, Amit Sinha. Amit is a leader at Deloitte Consulting with expertise in business and supply chain transformation. Amit, please tell us briefly about the book and a little bit about your background.
Sure. First, thank you, Tom, for doing this. My passion is in supply chain, in process transformation and creation of the value by uses of innovative technologies and update the process where it makes more sense for the organization. About the book, as you are aware, Tom, and all of us have been talking, or many of us, the digital transformation. And many factors have converged together recently. Our computation capabilities, the data generating from everywhere, from the enterprises, from the digital devices, and disruptive technology, if I can use the terms like AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain, and robotics. To get the value or to maximize the value, what we have found that through our research, which we have done at Deloitte, as well as we partnered with some research institution, we need to reinvent the process. We need to think about a new operating model, the way we have put our processes together. And that reimagined process we are calling digital supply networks. It's much more than just changing the name. What we are saying that the sequential supply chain processes of plan, source, make, deliver, you can add design and return to, needs to be reworked together so that we don't have the bottleneck or the disadvantages of a sequential chain. And let's create a always on, always connected network to multiply the value for the firm and the workforce, and also broader level for the society.
Well, thank you. You know, the book was a very interesting read, especially in light of the current SAP solutions based on the concept of a digital supply network. Why don't you share a little bit more with the audience, a little more detail around what a digital supply network is, some of the processes, and the usage of technology?
Yes. First, understand the term digital transformation. And when we say digital transformation, though the driver is technology, it has to be centered around the customer. With the evolution of the customer, I can say, because we want to get involved with the organization and buying the product, and with the opportunities, we have a multitude of data which enhances our ability to sense, predict, optimize, and inform, to control the processes, not in a controlling manner, but to run the complete ecosystem in a better manner, a connected ecosystem. On the right side of the screen, what you are seeing is the 6 process models.
Yeah.
We don't have time to get into all of the details, but understand first, customer is at the core. And second, you have a digital core, which is the combination of our ERP systems, SAP you can say, other collaborated system, you can give the example of Ariba or other network, and also the disruptive technology, the term I have used, like our sensors and the usage of the data through algorithm and intelligence. So when I say, if I give one example, a synchronized planning, understand the left part, what are the higher level value we are saying. So 3 things if I can pick, always total transparency and intelligent. So I did my demand forecasting. Nowadays SAP is also doing demand sensing. I want to understand point of sales data, and can I use my entire process as one connected machine? Anything happens there at the customer side, I'm able to react with my ability to supply while working at my plant and supplier. What will happen? Your inventory will go down. We are able to fulfill the customer in a much better manner, and customer is a connected entity of the network. What we have covered in the book, we are starting with the legacy supply chain, the value opportunity brought by the digital technologies, how the new process is going to look like. So I would like our listeners and viewers to read the details, the process capabilities. Very soon, ASCM and Epics is also redefining the processes aligned to what we are showing it here. And after the processes, we are also covering a playbook for the executives. If you want to transform your supply chain to a digital supply networks, how to do that, and the use cases.
Thank you. You brought up the concept of a digitalization of the sourcing process, and that's a business process that I'm work very closely within. SAP has been working with intelligent supply for a number of years now. So, can you speak in a little more detail about the sourcing process as it relates to or can be leveraged or enhanced when using a digital supply network?
Love to. And let's focus our discussion as we have planned on the intelligent supply part. And when we say intelligent supply, a term can be told that we have already moved from procurement to sourcing to strategic sourcing. Good. When we say strategic sourcing, our goal is still to reduce the cost so that I can increase my profit. What intelligent supply offers or the opportunity it has, if I'll take you to the right side of the screen, let's focus on three factors. First, predictive, second, proactive, and third, a collaborated network. When we say predictive, this is more relevant to the strategy part. For organizations of even small and medium, for big organizations for sure, when you are doing the strategic sourcing, you are creating a spend cube. So you are analyzing who are your most important products or supply group. You are doing a category management. You are doing inventory optimization and associate processes of working with the agreement. What these technologies can provide you, consider a scenario where a system is automatically generating a spend queue for the executives. So we are not spending 3 weeks to get all the data and generating it there. When I say ABC categorization, which are my critical products, most of the current organizations are identifying. What if I can analyze my data and say that based on my 80-20 principle or based on criticalities of my manufacturing environment, these are the ABC which requires more attention from the people who are working for these processes. And once we are able to predict it, there will be much less supply disruption and much more efficient network. Second thing, I use the term proactive. Proactive for our listeners, consider two parts. First thing, we are talking about the automation. A procurement process by the inherent nature is right now highly manual processes based, starting from the quotation to agreement to order creation and the deliveries and the invoice matching. Most of these processes can be automated because they are rule based. And what we can do, we can take the person out from doing this repetitive transaction, and we will use the same workforce to add the value for the firm. And since I had mentioned proactive is two parts, second part is how we are doing the supplier management. Supplier management in the current term is more like hedging your risk, and that's how we write the contract. The reason we do that, because at the end of the month, end of the week, or end of the year, we access the supplier based on the key performance indicators, and then we move and decide the payment other stuff. Proactive allows you to do that in the real time. When the product was out on the delivery, did you get the quantity what you were expecting? Is the quality good? And even when the process broke, we have defined a control tower and analytics to identify something can go wrong. And there you are working much more connected with the partner through a productive. And then my third term comes when I mentioned the word collaborative. So proactive and collaborative goes hand in hand. What we are saying that enhance the network, which is currently within the firm, to the suppliers, also supplier with the full visibility. It enhances your planning system, it enhances your manufacturing, and also most importantly, our ability to innovate, because you can multiply the power of innovation. If I can take you to the left side, what are the inputs? So I talked about the great stuff as the process output. Input is your first master data. So if you are doing a SAP system, you are aware ERP or Ariba. In addition of that, your strategic data, previous contracts, current contracts, supplier performance, transaction data, when I'm creating a delivery, creating an invoice, and the third party data, which can be, there are multiple startups these days, there are other organizations which can provide the data which we can use to process. And there comes the middle part, our usual suspects will be a ERP system, SAP. Another can be a collaborative system like Ariba. But in addition of that, the disruptive technologies of AI, ML, crowdsourcing, if you are talking about the innovation, we know that there are multiple organizations, including the Walmart, using blockchain for the supplier process. So blockchain, RFID, sensors. So if I'll summarize this information, use all the data you have in the right manner with the technologies. Don't use everything. Create a business case to achieve the goal of predictive, proactive, and connected.
Wow. Well, thank you. That was really a good overview, and I think you summed it up very well. You know, when I hear you, it reminds me of how SAP applications now have been leveraging digital supply networks for processes such as product development, demand supply planning, logistic, and other areas. And almost all these processes that you talked today for the intelligent supply can be achieved through the SAP product family. So we're going to cover this in a lot more detail in part 2 of this 2-part webinar on digital supply networks.
Yes, and I'm interested in understanding what SAP can do for us. So we discussed about the detail. In the next webinar, we will get into the details of how SAP and Deloitte is adding the value.
Well, on behalf of Deloitte and SAP, I would like to thank Amit Sinha and our entire audience for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing all of you in part 2 of this webinar series on digital supply networks. Thank you.
Thank you all.